Waldo Politics is now live streaming, just chatting. Trump's war on truth continues. Getting started soon. Sorry for the delay.
Oh, hi. Hello. How you doing? My name is Waldo, and I'm here to feel the politics with you. I appreciate you being here. Kyle Perez, where's Waldo? Hey, they're like, I know. The thugs got him, and shit's going down. Yes, I know. Welcome to YouTube chat. It sucks. You probably typed that like 9 minutes ago. Uh, there's just something about YouTube chat that doesn't want to show up on the screen, right? It doesn't want to work. It doesn't want to be here. It didn't work until like this happened. It's just the worst. Slots. There's no slots on YouTube chat. There's no slots on YouTube chat. You maniac. You monster. What are you thinking? God, what are you thinking? There's no slots on there. You have to go to Twitch or Kick to get slots because YouTube chat won't allow it. I'm telling you, man. YouTube chat doesn't work very well. I love that you're there. I appreciate people who are there. I know Trader Todd is in there as well as with Kyle Perez. But so thank you for being here. Thank you for hopping into the YouTube chat. It sucks. And I hope maybe you like that. I don't know. But Twitch chat, if you type into it, the lady will read.
Lady will read.
See? If you go into Twitch chat, that doesn't work on YouTube chat. The slots don't work on YouTube chat. We can do slots over here.
Slots.
And I lost 50 points, but I have all the points. It's okay. Well, they're Waldo points. But yeah, boo is right. YouTube chat is lame and stupid and bad. And it doesn't work most of the time. And then that makes me have to restart the stream. It makes me have to reconnect my settings within the robot overlord, the Botrix official thing. I have to reload stuff in there. It's bad. But there are people in there, and I want to hear from you. So hop into the bad YouTube chat or the better Twitch chat and tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. Come on over. Hop into the Kick chat if you don't want to give Amazon your money on Twitch. I can appreciate that. I respect that. That's the only reason I still run the Kick stream. And it's just one more button, and it doesn't seem to fuck up all the time. So that's my life, and I appreciate you being a part of it. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. My name is Waldo. I'm going to feel some politics with you today. Most of it has to do with the very exciting Kilmar Garcia stuff. That's been in the news lately, so we're going to talk about that. And then in a little bit later, I'm going to talk about the 4 different types of Trump supporters. And then I'm going to do a numbered list, you guys. I'm going to talk about the 4 of them, and I'll put that in the title. And then I'll talk about the 4 of them, and it'll be a numbered list. YouTube loves you numbered lists, man. They love that shit. How many YouTube videos have you watched that was like the 10 top things, the 4 things? These are the best 17 video games you can get on PS1. You know, they love numbered lists. They really do. And so I get to do one. It'll be really good for the algo. It's going to be really good for me. I appreciate you being here. I hope you stick around for it. That's going to be after all the big news. And then at the very end of today's stream, we'll talk about the controversial thing that might get me canceled. It got me banned last time. So stick around for that. What do you think it is? And if you start naming things that might get me banned, you might get me banned. I'm just saying. But we'll talk about that at the very end. We'll save that for the end because in case it gets me booted off, I will chop it from the live stream, then re-upload it, and then I'll turn it into a video, and then maybe that video will get chopped off and banned. I'm not entirely sure. But that's the end of the stream. So stick around for that. It will be exciting. So let me bring up all my chats and all my screens, make sure I'm looking at all the things. I have all my stuff here. I have all my stuff here. I have all of my chats in place. And I was a little bit behind this morning because I was fighting with YouTube chat, trying to get it working. And then I had to restart an update and restart the OBS, which didn't solve the problem. And then once I updated and restarted it, it didn't help any at all. So then I tried to redo the settings. It was a whole thing. So I was a little bit late, but like only by a minute. But let's look at the news. Let's talk about the stuff. If you want to tell me what to talk about, you can do so at the Discord. Go right there.
Discord.
Go to the Discord. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling. You can debate people in there. You can debate me. You can yell at me. Sewells is here. Thanks for being here, Sewells. Listening at work and on YouTube. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. So yeah, going over to the Discord. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling. Argue with people. Put photos of yourself up there. You could if you want to. Put photos of your pets. That's fine too. Photoshop photos of my pets. There's an entire channel just devoted to Bobo the baby bark boy, who is asleep right now. He played hard this morning, man. He got up early. He went on a walk around the block, a couple of walks, and then he played with his squeaky toy, and he went nuts. So he is exhausted. He's taking a nap right now. So he may not even show up today at all. But if he does, I'll put him up on screen. We'll have a good time. So what were we doing? We're looking at the politics. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Let's go to the webcam screen. Let's turn off the game capture. I don't think we're going to be playing any games today. Sorry if you really love Castlevania. We're going to turn on the window capture. And then we're going to click the tab. Bam. There we go. Because this is what all the politics is about right now. Kilmar Abrego Garcia, no criminal charges, doting father of 3 children with special needs, wife of a U.S. citizen. Wife is a U.S. citizen. 2019 court order barring deportation to El Salvador, which is where he is. Trump refuses to get him returned to the U.S., and even though it's an administrative error. Andrew Tate, however, charged with rape, human trafficking, sex with a minor, promotes misogyny, sexual exploitation of women, and to his followers, Trump administration pressured Romanian authorities to lift the travel ban and arrived via private jet in Florida. So, what is the difference between them? I really do think that Donald Trump just likes bad guys, you know? He just wants to be a bad guy. We're at supervillain levels is where we are. They know they're bad, they know they're evil, and they belong to the Brotherhood of Evil. You haven't heard of them? Yeah. You haven't heard of either of them? I rolling. Yeah, I got you. They belong to the Brotherhood of Evil, and so they just do evil things for evil reasons because it's fun. You know, they're supervillains at this point. Donald Trump just wants to be a bad guy. And so he finds the good guys, locks them in a prison with no trial, and he finds the bad guys who are under trial or who are under suspicion of doing crimes and forgives them. I don't know what else I could point to. They're part of the Legion of Doom. You know, they want doom. They want the bad things. I think it's to send a message to everyone. Be loyal and be rewarded. Otherwise, be scared. That's right. If you support him in his evil endeavors, it doesn't matter what you do. You're allowed to break all the laws as long as you say Trump is good. You're allowed to do whatever you want. You're allowed to break all the laws, especially if you're a famous person. They just let you do it. And if you're a proud member of the Legion of Doom, you just get to break all the laws. That's how the system works now. That's the world we live in. The more power you have, the more laws you get to break. That's how everything works. So let's continue on with that. That was a meme. But Trump touts seemingly doctored photo of Abrego Garcia's hand in an attempt to prove the Maryland man is a gang member. I really do love how we're attempting to prove after we've sent him to prison. Is that how the system works? Is that how the system is supposed to function? After you're in prison forever? With no sentence, no trial, no jury, no judges, then we bring the evidence out. And the evidence is photoshopped, because that's what this is. He posted this photo. This isn't like an accidental photo. This is like somebody else added the Photoshop. The Photoshop is right here, the MS, the 1, and the 3. Can we get closer on that photo? I don't think we can. I don't know. We can. Okay, we scroll in. So, let's scooch it over. That is you can see the Photoshop right there. The M, the S, the 1, and the 3. They're going to say that this, to the vast majority of stupid normies that exist in the world, they will see this photo and think that the M, the S, the 1, and the 3 are actually tattooed there because they see the photo. That's worth 1,000 words. They don't know how to read. They just know that Trump says it, and here's a photo. That makes it real. If you point out to them, hey, they added this stuff, maybe they'll believe you, maybe they won't. They'll probably just tell you to stop being such a liberal cuck. But if they have to defend this, they'll say, yeah, we photoshopped the M and the S, the 1 and the 3, because that's what these symbols mean. You see, that's a marijuana leaf. Marijuana starts with M. That's a smiley face. Smiles start with S. This is a cross that stands for 1 somehow, and that's a skull that stands for 3 somehow. We don't know how. And damn you for asking, you damn liberal idiots. What are you thinking? Of course, skull stands for 3. It's always stood for 3. Don't you know? They'll just make some shit up. President Donald Trump posted a photo of himself holding a seemingly digitally altered image of the left hand of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was wrongly deported to El Salvador last month. Abrego Garcia is currently incarcerated in a prison in El Salvador despite the 2019 court order banning his removal to that country. Lawyers for the Trump administration initially admitted that the Maryland father of 3 was sent to El Salvador due to an administrative error. Oh, don't worry. The lawyer who said it was an administrative error has been fired. But the president and his top officials say they will not retrieve him and claim Abrego Garcia is a member of the notorious gang MS-13. Last week, the U.S. Supreme Court upheld a lower court ruling instructing the administration to arrange his return, and has been charged, and that he has not been charged with a crime. He has not been charged with a crime. Even if this is accurate, that's not a crime, man. You can get "I am a member of MS-13" tattooed across your forehead. That's not a crime. You're allowed to do that. He doesn't even have MS-13 on his body, but this is the evidence. The accusation is all that matters to people who follow Donald Trump. The accusation is all they need. They will make up all the accusations they can, and they will throw you in prison first. Prison first, then the accusations come second, then the proof comes third. And you wait in prison while they literally manufacture evidence against you. This is insane. This is some fascist shit. On Friday, Trump posted a message to his Truth Social platform with an image purporting to be Abrego Garcia's left hand. It features tattoos on his fingers that government officials previously described as a marijuana leaf, a smiley face, a cross, and a skull. But the image Trump is holding, MS-13, is now spelled across the knuckles. However, Matt Novak of Gizmodo pointed out on Blue Sky that a photo of Abrego Garcia, this is another photo of him, the letters MS and the numbers 1-3 are not there because they don't exist there. And so, one, fake news, literally being held by the president of the country, who is then retweeting it and sending it out on his social media platform that he owns that's called Truth. That's some fucking dystopian shit right there, man. That's some 1984 shit, isn't it? He spreads gigantic super lies on the media platform that he owns called Truth Social. He's going to set up the Department of Love next, and they're going to torture people. He's going to set up the Department of Peace, and they're going to drop bombs on people. He's going to put together he's going to point at everything that is true and say it's fake. We're in 1984 now. This is where we are. And the president gets to just lie his ass off anytime he damn well feels like it. And we all have to react to it. We can't be ahead of time. We can't beat him to the pass because they own the media. Republicans will tell you that it's all the media and all the TVs and all the movies and everything is left wing. They're wrong. They're lying. All the news media leans to the right. All of them. Even MSNBC leans further to the right than the people tell you. They want to make a profit. And they make a profit by putting out ideas that counter what Trump is saying. That's it. They're not leftists. They're not pushing a left agenda. They're pushing a Democrat agenda most of the time because the Democrats are paid opposition. They aren't working their asses off to get rid of him. What they're doing is reacting to all the bullshit that he spews. He says something crazy, then they all react to it. And then tomorrow he says something else crazy, like the MS-13 right there that we just saw, and then they all have to react to it. And then tomorrow he'll talk about trade imbalances, and they'll all react to that. And then the day after that, he'll talk about immigration again, and they'll all talk about that. They don't get ahead of him because you can't get ahead of him because you don't know what he's going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow, 420, we might get some martial law. That was the video I put out a couple of weeks ago. And a few people who have suggested that, hey, this is the day that he's going to really push for military takeover of the country. So that might happen tomorrow. But we can't get ahead of that because we have to talk about this today. You know? It's very difficult. He floods the zone with shit. It's the Bannon quote. Let's keep going. What did we see? We saw a senator go and visit him. So there is Abrego Garcia. There he is. He's right there. Kilmar is here. And here is the Maryland senator. Now, This is a difficult photo because senator who visited Abrego Garcia exposes Margarita Gate set up by the El Salvadoran president. So he went to visit him. They brought him to a restaurant, and then they put fake fucking margaritas in front of them because they want you to stop asking about the torture prison. They put him in regular clothes. They didn't put him in his prison uniform, which we saw him in a prison uniform in the previous photos of him. And then they put water and salt-rimmed glasses in front of them to make it seem like it's a pleasant, lovely place. A wonderful time Garcia's having over there in prison. Put the tinfoil hat on for the 420. I might. We'll talk about that if and when it happens tomorrow. If it happens tomorrow, I'll watch the news. I'll do a very exciting surprise Sunday stream with the hat if things go wrong tomorrow or Monday maybe, because it might not roll out until Monday. So yeah, those aren't margaritas. That's water with salt rim around the rim. Why did they do that? Because they don't want you to talk about, know, or think about the torture prison, the gulag. Do you know what this really reminds me of? Well, let's read this, then I'll tell you what it reminds me of. Senator Chris Van Hollen, the Democrat from Maryland, pushed back against claims that he was sipping margaritas with unlawfully deported Maryland resident Kilmar Abrego Garcia during their meeting in El Salvador. The claim was made on Thursday evening by El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, who posted photos of the meeting in a cheeky tweet. Kilmar Abrego Garcia miraculously risen from the death camp and torture, now sipping margaritas with Senator Van Hollen in a tropical paradise of El Salvador. But that's not how it happened.
A moment I hadn't planned to do this, but as I was landing on the airplane, I got a transcript of some questions President Trump was asked at the White House today about what I would call Margarita Gate. I don't know if you guys have been following this, but President Bukele, after I met with Kilmar, did this tweet showing us at a table with these two glasses. So here's what happened. When I first sat down with Kilmar, we just had glasses of water on the table. I think maybe some coffee. And as we were talking, one of the government people came over and deposited two other glasses on the table with ice, and I don't know if it was salt or sugar around the top, but they look like margaritas. And if you look at the one they put in front of Kilmar, it actually had a little less liquid than the one in front of me, to try to make it look, I assume, like he drank out of it. Let me just be very clear. Neither of us touched the drinks that were in front of us. And if you want to play a little Sherlock Holmes, I'll tell you how you can know that. So if you look at the video or the picture I sent out from the beginning of our meeting, you'll see there are no glasses on the table. So you'll see in later videos they are on the table. But they made a little mistake, or some people are very careful, right? If you sip out of one of those glasses, some of whatever it was, salt or sugar, would disappear. You would see a gap. There's no gap. Nobody drank any margaritas or sugar water or whatever it is. But this is a lesson into the lengths that President Bukele will do to deceive people about what's going on. And it's also shows the lengths that the Trump administration and the president will go to, because when he was asked about a reporter about this, he just went along for the ride. So the White House and the president had been lying about this case from the beginning. They've been trying to change the subject from the beginning.
So, yeah, what does this remind me of? This reminds me of the swimming pools at Auschwitz. You've probably heard this if you've been online for any length of time. Online neo-Nazis will tell you that there were swimming pools and theaters and all kinds of really nice things at the Auschwitz concentration camp, the death camp, where they killed thousands and thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of Jewish people. They don't want it to be true. So they make up some horse shit about them having swimming pools and theaters, and it was a really good time. This is exactly the same situation. The person who is in the concentration camp right now is being put in a photo next to a margarita. The same way this swimming pool proves that they didn't murder a bunch of people at Auschwitz. I don't call Donald Trump a fascist because it's fun. I don't do it because it's edgy and it makes me sound cool. I do it because he is doing fascism. He is borrowing ideas from the Nazi playbook. That is why I call them the things that I call them. This isn't an end that I found some way to get to. It is me looking at the evidence, looking at what's happening, and then describing it. They are fascists and they are doing fascism. They are lying to you about this person and the things that happened to him to get the political win that they want, which is kicking people out of the country, starting up concentration camps so that they can send people to them when they feel like it. So let's keep on this topic since there is so much more to talk about. This is another thing that I could compare it to. Can't pull the wool over my eyes. Can't speak for the stupid voters in the country, though. Such a sad display of stupidity. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. If you give the people, there are people who want Trump to be correct. They believe he is correct. They feel good when he talks. And they need a reason to believe him because it's bullshit. Bullshit is a very thin paint. Lies are a thin paint that you have to keep reapplying over and over again, or else the truth will shine through. So they need more lies every day. They need another one. Hey, this guy Garcia was a bad guy. Well, there's no evidence. Well, he's got these tattoos. So, and he was here sipping margaritas, so it's not so bad. And listen, he's not a saint. He had a restraining order. His wife put out a restraining order against him, and he had a parking ticket, and he's actually a member of MS-13, and the tattoos really do mean MS-1 and 3. They need to keep piling on the lies and the bullshit to make themselves feel better. And he was drinking margaritas, so it can't be a concentration camp. And they had swimming pools at Auschwitz, so it couldn't have been a concentration camp. They need the lies to continue feeling good about the things that the government they support does. If you want to support Hitler, you would say they have swimming pools at Auschwitz, okay? It's okay. Quit freaking out. It's not a concentration camp. They have swimming pools, okay? They have theaters. It's a great place. If you want to support Donald Trump and his fascism, you will say, Garcia's drinking margaritas. He's having a good time. He is a criminal, and he belongs in prison. But he's not even in prison. He's drinking margaritas. It's great. He looks fine. He looks healthy to me. Look how fat he looks. He can't possibly be starving. This also reminds me of this old thing. A Potmikin village. Potmikin, I don't know how to pronounce it. I've only read it. I've never actually said it out loud. But in politics and economics, a Potmikin village is a construction, literal or figurative, whose purpose is to provide an external facade to a situation, to make the people believe that the situation is better than it actually is. The term comes from the stories of a fake portable village built by Grigory, a field marshal and former lover of Empress Catherine II, solely to impress the Empress during her journey to Crimea. Modern historians agree that accounts of this portable village are exaggerated. The original story is that he erected phony portable settlements along the banks in order to impress the Russian Empress and foreign guests. The structures would be disassembled after she passed and reassembled farther along to be seen again. You can see that they kind of painted the front of this building. See how this building looks real nice? It's painted, but on the back it's shit. That's because the Empress was just walking by this direction. So they paint it to look nice, but it's actually in disrepair. So this is another situation where you see that things aren't what they really are. And it's all about images and what you can see. So they put the margarita in front of them. They put the swimming pool photo up, and they put the paint on the building to make that seem like it's not as bad as it actually is. Let's see. And here's the photo that begins with them just having the water in front of them. This is what he was talking about. He just has the water. Let's hear what actually happened, other than the controversy of the margaritas. Van Hollen held a press conference. During the press conference on Friday, he said that Abrego Garcia had told him he had been moved from CSOT mega prison to a detention center with improved conditions. Because we keep talking about it, because we're pointing it out, because we're claiming these things are a big deal. It's working. Keep talking about it, Democrats. Keep pointing out that the Republicans are lying about it. Keep pointing out that Trump is starting a concentration camp. Keep using that language. It's working. I know it's only working for this one guy, but it is working its way through the court system. They are going to come back if we do not give up. Do not give up now. Don't wimp out now that Abrego Garcia specifically is in a slightly less dangerous prison. Still in prison for committing no crimes. Still hasn't been put in front of a judge. Still got removed illegally. Donald Trump still hasn't brought him back, even though the Supreme Court told him to. Don't give up. Don't quit now that you've gotten one tiny concession. This isn't about getting one tiny concession. It's about justice. It's about the idea that people shouldn't be sent to prison and then evidence gathered later. According to Van Hollen, Abrego Garcia said that he had been previously held in a cell with 25 other inmates and was traumatized by being at CSOT, expressing fear of prisoners in nearby cells who had taunted him regularly. The senator said Abrego Garcia was transferred 9 days earlier in a facility in Santa Ana, where he remains in isolation without access to television, internet, or any form of outside communication. He said the conditions were better at his new detention center, but he was still in a total blackout. The senator described a deeply emotional moment during the meeting. Abrego Garcia, dressed in plain clothes and a baseball cap, became visibly distressed when talking about his family, particularly his 5-year-old son with autism, who was with him when he was arrested in U.S. authorities in Maryland. He immediately started welling up and crying. Okay, that makes people feel things, but I'm interested in the bigger picture. Is it sad that he's been abducted? Yes, but we have to look at the big picture. Stupid people talk about people, and this is what happens. I even had some people on Blue Sky telling me this, who were pointing out every flaw that this man had ever made in his entire life. They were on Blue Sky saying, hey, why are you defending him? He has a restraining order against him. Hey, why are you defending him? He got a speeding ticket one time. Hey, why are you defending him? He came into the country illegally. Hey, why are you defending him? He's no angel. You saw this during the BLM protests and the stuff as well. He's no angel. Stupid people will use this argument because stupid people talk about people. The only important thing to them, because they are mentally not high up, they're a little low on the intelligence scale, will say, hey, what is he? How do we measure him? Oh, he's got tattoos? Well, he's clearly guilty. He's got a restraining order? He's clearly guilty of everything. He came into the country illegally? He's guilty, needs to go to prison forever. They will point to these things, just like with the BLM riots, the guy was on fentanyl. Okay, well, that doesn't mean you get strangled to death. He was no angel. He committed crimes when he was a kid. Okay, well, that doesn't mean you get thrown into the gulag for eternity. Normal people talk about the event. Stupid people talk about people. Regular people talk about events. What happened? He got black bagged. He got sent to the CSOT, and he got out, and now he's in a better place. They might call that a win. It's not a win, because smart people talk about the ideas. What does it mean that a person can get picked up and black bagged and sent to a gulag? What does it mean? What is the ideal behind ICE? What does it mean for you? What does it mean for me? What does it mean for everyone that there are 130 other people that got sent to this prison at the same time? What about them? What is the idea that our society is putting out? The idea, as I see it, is that if you disregard, if Donald Trump doesn't like you, he can send you to a concentration camp. They don't need judges. They don't need juries. They don't need lawyers. They don't need evidence. They can put all that shit together later. Prison first, evidence later. That is the idea that makes me unhappy. That is the idea that makes me pissed off. That is the idea that I'm trying to talk about. Is Abrego Garcia a gang member? I don't think so. There's no evidence to suggest that. If he is, that doesn't mean you have to be sent to the gulag. Evidence. Trials first, then sentencing and punishment. In that order. If you do that out of order, the idea is wrong. You're wrong about the ideas. Let's see. So, what else have we got? Lawyers rush to Supreme Court over imminent Alien Enemies Act deportations, because there's more deportations coming. This isn't over. They're still trying to do it. A lower court judge indicated the case is out of his hands after the ACLU filed a flurry of emergency litigation on Friday. So yesterday they did this. Lawyers representing Venezuelan immigrants rushed to the Supreme Court and multiple lower courts on Friday, seeking emergency orders to prevent what they said was another round of imminent deportations to an El Salvador prison under the Alien Enemies Act. The lawyers said that the Trump administration is defying Supreme Court order by attempting further deportations under the act without the required level of due process. The deportations could happen as early as Friday evening or Saturday, they said. The due process is an idea that everyone needs to have proper representation, have their stuff put in front of a judge, and nobody gets sent without the proper process happening. Charges, evidence, lawyers, defense, jury, sentencing, then you're sent to prison. And if you skip any of that, you haven't done the due process. The idea is out of whack. I don't care how much of a terrible criminal you are, actually. You get the due process. I don't care that you're an illegal immigrant. You get the due process. I don't care that you said loudly into a TV camera that you committed 98 murders. You get the due process. Their clients were given deportation notices and were being loaded into buses, presumably headed for the airport. The lawyers wrote in an emergency appeal to the Supreme Court. Meanwhile, at a hastily called district court hearing, a Justice Department lawyer said that no deportation flights were scheduled for Friday evening and that the Department of Homeland Security was not aware of any current plans. But these guys don't know what's going on. These lawyers for the Justice Department are kept in the dark on purpose so that when they lie to a judge, they don't know they're lying. But the Justice Department lawyer, Drew Ensign, added, I've also been told to say they reserve the right to remove people tomorrow. I have been told to say, because that way he's just following orders. Again, more and more, it's easier to call them fascists every day. It becomes easier. 5 years ago when I was doing it, I seemed like a lunatic. But now we're here. I get to call them fascists because they're doing fascism. In a flurry of emergency litigation, the ACLU argued that any imminent deportations would be indirect contravention of an April 7th ruling from the Supreme Court, which said people deemed alien enemies must be given a meaningful opportunity to challenge their deportations through a legal mechanism known as habeas corpus. This is the part of the process, the process that is due to them. I do not think that the Supreme Court anticipated that its ruling would be ignored like this, the ACLU attorney said. Boasberg said that he was deeply troubled by the deportation notices that were given to Venezuelan nationals detained in Texas. Those notices, he said, do not appear to comply with the Supreme Court's requirement that detainees be given the meaningful due process. Also, they're Venezuelan, and they're being sent to El Salvador. Americans, listen, I know. I went through an American education, too. We weren't taught very much geography. We weren't taught very much history. I dig that. I went to a public school. They taught me very little, except football. Now, Venezuela is not El Salvador. Those are two different countries. Shocking, I know. You're shocked by this, amazed that I could comprehend that, even though I had an American education. But people, conservatives, listen, those are two different countries. If you have a Venezuelan and the court has said they are here illegally and they should be deported, you send them to Venezuela and you drop them there in public, in a place. You let them out of the airport, at the airport. They can deal with themselves after that. That's deportation. That's how deportation used to work. Hey, you're from Venezuela. You're not supposed to be here. The judge has seen the evidence. He did not approve of your asylum status. You're being sent back. The American government flies you to Venezuela. They drop you off. You're on your own. Not forcing them into an El Salvadoran prison. That's not deportation, man. That's not how that works. He didn't commit a crime, but you're putting them in prison without a judge, without a jury, without a trial, without a defense, in a country that they don't belong to. That's the idea. That's the problem that we're having with this. This is why it's such a big damn deal, and everybody's talking about it, and all the conservatives are trying to prevent it and trying to defend it because they don't have ethics. They don't know how things work. They just know that it feels good to get the brown people out of their country. They don't care how the process works. They don't care what process they were supposed to have. The conservatives don't care about the constitutional protections that the illegal immigrants actually do have. They don't care about that shit. They just want them gone because they hate them. They have been conditioned to hate them from right-wing media. Right-wing media has right-wing media has told us all. Most of it, some of us just don't believe it. They've told us all to hate the immigrant, to fear the immigrant, to remove the immigrant. They've told us that. Now, some of the smartest of us don't accept that idea. But the people who do accept that idea will abandon the Constitution to get that done. And if they'll abandon, again, this is an idea, if they'll abandon the Constitution to get what they want, they're being un-American, if you ask me. They're being anti-freedom. They're being anti-constitutional. The conservatives are the ones abandoning the Constitution right now. Every day they do it. Every day this guy is gone. His rights have been harmed. Every day they send another person. Without a trial, their rights are being harmed. They're being unconstitutional. But they don't know that because right-wing media lies to them. How about some more lies? How about some more lies? I got some lies for you, baby. Let's look at this absolutely disgusting video. Now, I guess I have to trigger warning because I have to. There is some very graphic language in this little bit right here, and it's very rough, and it might actually get me in trouble. It's already on YouTube, but maybe I'll get in trouble. I don't think I might get banned for the words that this woman is going to say in public to the fucking press. Don't ban me, YouTube. Come on.
A lot of you don't know the whole story about Rachel and about the crime that was committed against her. Even us, her family, we didn't know all the details. They kept most of it close to their chest, the detectives, because they didn't want to do anything to hurt the case. They wanted to keep the integrity of the case, so they kept everything close. I sat for the last 2 weeks in her trial, and we saw layer upon layer upon layer of evidence against the accused, an illegal immigrant from El Salvador.
An illegal immigrant from El Salvador harmed her daughter. That illegal immigrant was then caught, found, arrested, charged, and given a trial. Abrego Garcia had none of these things.
And the things that we...
No crime, no accusation, no judge, no trial, but he got sent away and no sentence.
thought, well, maybe this might have happened. We didn't know, but when we were at the trial, we got all the puzzle pieces. And I want to share some of those things with you.
All the puzzle pieces. No, she's not talking about puzzle pieces. She's talking about graphic, disgusting violence, which is she's about to describe.
You know that Rachel's a 37-year-old mother. She has 5 children. We've walked the trail for the last 25 years that we've lived in Maryland. It's a safe place for our family. It's where we go to get a little bit of New England, because that's where we're from, New England. When she went on that trail that day, she was not planning on dying. She wasn't planning on walking to her death.
That's stupid. You're stupid. I'm sorry that your child got harmed, and I wish it hadn't happened. But don't go on the fucking news, literally at the fucking press corps of the fucking White House, and say she wasn't planning on dying that day. The hell does that even mean?
She was planning on going to the grocery store with her girls afterwards. Victor Martinez, he waited for her.
Victor Martinez. Is that Abrego Garcia? No. That's a completely different person. Victor Martinez, who has been accused and found guilty of committing this crime. Not Abrego Garcia. You see, they're two different people. Conservatives don't know that these are two different people. They don't. Victor Martinez is a horrible criminal. That means that all people from El Salvador need to be kicked out of the country. That is the point that she is about to drag us towards, and that the White House approves of, and the conservatives agree with. Victor Martinez, El Salvadoran, committed a crime. That means every fucking El Salvadoran in our country needs to go to prison. All of them. Doesn't matter if they're here legally. Doesn't matter if they've got court cases keeping them here. Doesn't matter that they're innocent of all crimes. They need to go. Let's listen to her spit some more sad story that the fascists are going to exploit to control your feelings.
He waited for her to come closer. He saw her. He saw that there was nobody around. He attacked her. He dragged her 150 feet, blood gushing from her head. It left a 150-foot trail of her blood to the culverts, where he picked her up, he threw her against the wall of the tunnel, and he raped her. But before he did that, he stopped on that trail, and rocks, still stained with her blood, he used them to hammer her head against those rocks. They say at least 20 times they could count the cuts in her head. They said that when they did the autopsy, and I've seen the pictures, there's a 6-inch square in the back of her head where the skull is shattered the way that you would crush an eggshell in pieces. 3/4 of her brain hemorrhaged. Her right and left side of her face bashed in. Her beautiful face bashed in. Her head bashed in. Broken bones, fractures. He takes and he drags her some more. He drags her through the thorn bushes. She has all the scrapes and cuts on her body. There wasn't 1 inch of her body that didn't have some kind of injury, whether it's bruising, broken bones, contusions, the scratches. She had a fractured rib, fractured nose, fractured skull. And then he takes her into the tunnel and he picks her up. He throws her against the wall. Blood is gushing from her head. Her hair is soaked in blood. And they showed us pictures of her body against the wall, outlined. The blood outlined her body. And you could see where the blood ran down around her as he was raping her. And then he threw her down and raped her some more. And then he strangled her because he didn't want her to be able to live to tell the story. They said that when they did the autopsy on her neck, that one of the things they do is they open up the neck and they look to see how far the injury is. And they went all the way down as far as an injury is possible, hemorrhaging in the muscles, because of how strong and violent the grip was around her. These are the kind of people that have no compulsion.
These are the kind of people. All El Salvadorans. This one committed a terrible, terrible, terrible crime. I'm sorry, Rachel, that this happened to you. I'm sorry, Patty, that this happened to someone you love. All of them have to be held responsible according to these fucking fascists, according to her and the press secretary standing next to her. All El Salvadorans, all immigrants will pay for this.
To them, this is nothing.
To them,
And
this
when
is
he was
nothing.
sitting in the courtroom, he actually looked like he thought he was going to be set free. There was no remorse on his face at all. This person took my daughter so violently and so gruesomely and so graphically that they sealed the pictures, because I don't want my granddaughters to see these pictures. These are the kind of criminals President Trump wants to remove from our country.
These are the kinds of criminals. No, you don't have to prove each one is a criminal. You know how long that would take? That the courts have to prove every one of these people is a criminal? God, that could take years. Let's just send them all.
These are the kind of criminals that we need to remove from our country. We are American citizens. Why should we allow people like this, violent criminals that have no conscience at all, to murder our mothers, our sisters, our daughters? What? I don't understand.
You don't understand. You are feeling grief, Patty, but that does not mean you get to drag the rest of the world into fascism. Because that's exactly what she's doing. Wow, yeah, these kinds of people instead of this person. We know exactly who this person was. We caught this person. This person has been put on trial. The evidence has been seen, and he has been found guilty, and he will be punished for the crime that he committed. But any innocent El Salvadoran will also have to pay the price. That's fucking disgusting. Collective punishment. That's some shit that the Nazis used to say about the Jews. One of them charged interest to somebody in Germany in the 1920s, and now they all have to be punished. Fucking blood libel is what this is. I don't accidentally call the Trump administration fascist or Nazis. I do it because they're doing fascist shit in a Nazi way. They're not even hiding it anymore. It's right here in front of our faces. This woman is telling you that the one person committed a crime and they all need to suffer and be punished for it. Think there's some more. Let's listen.
Why there's even any kind of problem with this?
Why is there a problem with holding them all responsible for the actions of one? Why would you, idiot liberals, suggest that we have to put all of them on trial? Can't we just one at a time? God, no, don't put them all on trial one at a time. All of them need to be punished for the acts of this one.
And it's not that it's political, like the left or the right, although I understand different parties have used it in the past. But we have to look at it as we are American citizens. We need to protect our families, our borders, our children.
That's awfully close to the 14 words. Protect the white children.
I don't care about politics. Well, I do, but I want to preserve life. And that's the only reason why I have taken and spoken about Rachel all this time. If you're a mother here in the room, can you imagine standing there alive? You're alive, and someone comes and puts their hands into your chest and rips out your heart. That's what it feels like. It feels like a part of you is being ripped out of you. You can't even describe the pain. Just like you can't describe to your husband what it feels like to carry a baby in your womb, or to feel those first kicks, or to know just intuitively if it's a boy or a girl. It's only a thing that a mother knows. Why are we not protecting the American citizens?
He was found. He was put on trial, and he has been found guilty. That is the best you can do in the system we have. And the police are there. If a police officer hadn't seen this, that he would have protected her. This is the protection. This is it. But they want to preventively protect her by kicking out everybody who they don't like. Anybody they feel is a threat needs to be removed before they can hurt someone. Pre-crimes, thought crimes. You belong to a group that did a thing, well, then you're guilty of that thing.
It's just common sense. Why are we not protecting our children?
Common sense is a feeling. Again, this whole thing has been about feelings. All politics are based on feelings.
And to have a senator from Maryland who didn't even acknowledge or barely acknowledge my daughter and the brutal death that she endured, leaving her 5 children without a mother and now a grandbaby without a grandmother, so that he can use my taxpayer money to fly to El Salvador to bring back someone that's not even an American citizen.
Someone who is innocent of crimes and has not been found guilty. Abrego Garcia needs to be punished for the actions of Victor Martinez. That is what she is telling you. She is telling you straight to your face that Garcia needs to be punished for the actions of Martinez. Blood libel. He's responsible because he's part of a group. And they, don't you know that they drink the blood of babies and sleep hanging from the ceiling by their feet? Imagine. I mean, have you seen the movie Jojo Rabbit? It's a very good movie. You should watch that. But the little boy who's brought up in Nazi Germany colors and describes the horrible nightmare things that Jews do because he's been taught that. And all the adults know it's not true, but they clap and they cheer for him. And they love that he has been indoctrinated to believe horse shit about Jewish people. They loved it. The Nazis did. And the Nazis of today love what this woman is saying. All the people from El Salvador need to pay the price for the actions of one of them. And if you don't think so, then you are harming her, you are insulting the death of Rachel, and you are harming Patty's life.
Why does that person have more right than I do? Or my
more rights than you do. Your accuser, the person who harmed you, has been held responsible. Abrego Garcia has nothing to do with this or these people or any of the people involved. But he needs to pay the price, according to Patty.
My daughter or my grandchildren. I don't understand this.
Because you don't want to understand it. You are deep, deep, deep in your feelings, and I'm sorry you've been harmed. But your sadness does not mean that the entire country has to fall to fascism.
Thank you.
It's fucking disgusting. Makes me fucking sick. It really does. I don't understand. I mean, I know exactly what's happening. They play you a sad sob story, and then because of your feelings, they manipulate you. That is a manipulative thing that we just watched. And Fox News is running with it, boy. They are running with it, talking about how all immigrants need to be held responsible for the things that happened to this one woman. They are running with that shit. Show somebody a sad story, blame it on a very large group, kick the group out of the country. It's disgusting. Makes me fucking sick. We are not a country of laws and freedom any longer. Well, we're not a country of laws because Donald Trump ignores the law and does whatever he wants. And if we allow the right wing to control the narrative and start kicking people out for the feelings that people have, we won't be a country of freedom any longer either. And we're getting real close to that shit. First goes the laws, then the freedom gets taken away. Let's see. Anything else going on? This is all the same stuff. So the Supreme Court is actually saying that orders the government not to remove from the country for the time being any of the individuals slated for a possible deportation to El Salvador. The vote is apparently 7-2 with Justice Thomas and Alito in dissent. So they're saying don't send anybody else to El Salvador. This could lead to the constitutional crisis where the Supreme Court says do not do the thing, and then Donald Trump does the thing anyway. They have given him the authority to ignore them and to never break any laws. The president cannot break laws ever if he says, I did it for the country. It's horseshit. He's a liar. But they have set up, and this is the system. This is the idea. This is why it irritates me. The idea is that the president can break all the laws. He is not responsible for any of these things if he says it's for national security, and he'll just lie his ass off and say this is for national security. Maybe they won't send anybody else there, but maybe they will. Who knows? The Supreme Court has said, don't do the thing. They want to do the thing, so they might do the thing. This could create the constitutional crisis that we've been worried about. And what happens if Trump and the administration ignores the Supreme Court orders? Well, nobody knows. It's never happened before. It's happened slightly in the past, but it's not as open and blatant as this. Do people complain? Maybe. Do the senators do anything? Do they impeach him? They could. They're not gonna, because they have the House and the Senate. The Republicans have the House and the Senate and the presidency, which means he won't be impeached. Unless a bunch of the Republicans come around to it, and they won't. They just won't. They like what he's doing because they also hate the immigrants. They also really enjoy the misery that's happening right now. They enjoy that stuff. They want these bad things to happen because they are a member of the Legion of Doom. They've gone beyond being an ideology, a party based on certain ethics and standards. That's not it anymore. It's about power. And they get the most power if they have the most money and they have the most authority. And they tell the judge what to do, and they tell the cops what to do, and they tell the DOJ what to do, and they tell the president what is and isn't legal. And he gets to decide what is and isn't a crime at any time, any point that he wants. That's powerful. Not having an ideology or an ethos or a fucking list of ethics that you want to follow. Blech. That's shit. That's junk. Blech. Who cares? That's nerd shit. Nobody cares about that. What else have we got? Ooh, I saw this one the other day. This one's a few days old. April 9th, a whole 10 days. I know. It's fucking, that was a million billion years ago, Waldo. I know. The Addressing Risks from Chris Krebs and Government Censorship. This is an actual, literal executive order written by, it's an emperor's decree. The emperor, God, King Trump, has decreed that Chris Krebs is a liar. The federal government has a constitutional duty and a moral responsibility to respect and promote the free speech rights of Americans. Yet in recent years, elitist leaders in government have unlawfully censored speech and weaponized their undeserved influence to silence perceived political opponents and advance their preferred and often erroneous narrative about significant matters of public debate. These disgraceful actions have taken the form of coercive threats against the private sector, including the major social media platforms, to suppress conservative or dissenting voices and distort public opinions. Much of this censorship took place during the presidential election with an apparent purpose of undermining the free exchange of ideas and debate. It sure would be awful if the government threatened private sectors. That would be ridiculous. Donald Trump would never do that, except for all the times he fucking does. Christopher Krebs, the former head of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, is a significant bad faith actor who weaponized and abused his government authority. Krebs' misconduct involved the censorship of disfavored speech implicating the 2020 election and COVID-19 pandemic. CISA, under Krebs' leadership, suppressed conservative viewpoints under the guise of combating supposed disinformation. He didn't let people lie. And that is his crime. He wouldn't let people lie. He recruited and coerced major social media platforms to further its partisan mission. CISA covertly worked to blind the American public to the controversy surrounding Hunter Biden's laptop. They're still mad that nobody's ever heard about Hunter Biden's laptop. Bro, it's the most famous laptop in the history of humanity. Nobody hasn't heard about Joe Biden's laptop. Twitter kept it off of Twitter for 24 hours because they thought it might be fake news. And then after that, everyone heard about it everywhere. Every single human being on the planet has heard about Hunter Biden's laptop. Yet here they are putting out executive orders saying that it was suppressed and no one's ever heard of it. Nobody's ever heard about it. You've never heard of Hunter Biden or his laptop because big media won't let you hear about it. They scream from the top of the rooftops at a crowd of 100,000 people. You've never heard of this. We're being suppressed, they say, into cameras that millions of people see. No one can see us. They scream at in primetime news. I need to lie every day or else I get upset stomach. Maybe they do have something similar. Maybe they have a disease where they have to lie a lot or else it upsets them. Hunter's laptop, the most secret of secrets ever to exist. You've never heard of it. Nobody's ever heard of it. Nobody's ever covered it. Nobody's ever talked about it on the news. If you ask conservatives, nobody's ever heard about it. Republicans are the party of rubber and glue, whatever they're accused of. They'll say it was you. Yeah, exactly. I think you're right. They will say that this has been kept from you, that this secret laptop has never been seen or no one's ever heard of it. Nobody will shut the fuck up about it. It's not a secret. It's the most widely talked about fucking thing in politics in a goddamn decade. And they're crying that it's been suppressed. Where? How was it? It's never been suppressed by anybody anywhere ever. It's the most freely available fucking thing. I bet you can find 1,000 stories about it. But it's been suppressed. They don't live in reality, man. They just do not live in the same planet that I do. Krebs, through CISA, promoted the censorship of election information, including known risks associated with certain voting practices. This is him telling the truth about mail-in voting. Donald Trump lies about millions of illegals voting, and Chris Krebs said, nah, man, that's a lie. I'm not going to spread that, so he has to go. Similarly, Krebs, through CISA, falsely and baselessly denied the 2020 election was rigged and stolen. I want you to read this. Krebs, through CISA, falsely and baselessly denied that the 2020 election was rigged and stolen. He said that the 2020 election wasn't rigged and stolen because that's a true statement. If you say true statements and you work for Donald Trump, you're not going to work for him for long. You get like one true statement before they fire you. I need everybody to listen. The 2020 election was not rigged. It was not stolen by Joe Biden. It was not rigged against Donald Trump. That's a fucking fact. And if you say that fact, you are the enemy of Donald Trump. If you work for the government and you state that fact, you won't work for the government for much longer. This is a war on truth. This is a war on reality. This is a fight against truth, run by the man who owns a media platform called Truth Social. This is 1984 shit. George Orwell, 1986. We all know the meme. They don't care what reality is. They will tell you what to believe. They don't care what the facts say. They will tell you what the facts are. They have no ethos. They have no guidelines. They have no ethics. They have only the will to power. And if that power if they get more power by telling you that 2020 was rigged, they will. If they get more power by telling you that it wasn't rigged, they will. They don't care what is true, what is correct, what is real. They will tell you whatever the fuck makes them feel better. Let's keep reading, because I don't think this even does anything. Let's see, including, well, let me see. Pick up where we left off. Including by inappropriately and categorically dismissing widespread election malfeasance and serious vulnerabilities within voting machines. Krebs skewed the bona fide debate about COVID-19 by attempting to discredit widely shared views that ran contrary to CISA's favored perspective. Their favored perspective met reality. Their favored perspective was true things that can be proven. That is not allowed. If power didn't bring money, power wouldn't matter. They go hand in hand. Money is power. Power is acquired. You can have some sort of power, I suppose. If you were cult leaders have power over the people beneath them, but they don't always have a whole lot of money. They can have those people go and get money, and then it'll make them more powerful, sure. But power can also come from a domination of violence and a lot of weapons, which usually cost money. We live in a capitalist society, so all the things that give you power can be traded for money. Money can get you more power, and more power can be obtained with money. They go hand in hand. They're simpatico. But the favored narrative, the favored perspective that Chris Krebs had was reality, was truth. And that is not allowed under Donald Trump. You are not allowed to have a favored perspective based towards reality. It's not allowed. Abusive conduct of this sort violates the First Amendment and erodes trust in government, thus undermining the strength of our democracy itself. Those who engage in or support such conduct must not have continued access to our nation's secrets. Accordingly, I hereby direct the heads of executive departments and agencies to immediately take steps consistent with existing law to revoke any active security clearance held by Christopher Krebs. This is an entire executive order aimed at one guy who told the truth. I further direct Attorney General and Director of National Intelligence and all other relevant agencies to immediately take all action as necessary and consistent with existing law to suspend any active security clearances held by individuals and entities associated with Krebs, including Sentinel-1, pending a review of such clearances are consistent with national interests. I further directed the Attorney General and Secretary of Homeland Security in consultation with any other agency head to take all appropriate action to review Krebs' activities as a government employee, including his leadership of CISA. The review should identify any instances where Krebs' conduct appears to have contrary to suitability standards for federal employees. Try and get him fired and discredited. Involving the unauthorized dissemination of classified information or contrary to the purposes and policies identified in the executive order something. As a part of this review, I direct a comprehensive evaluation of all of CISA's activities over the past 6 years, focusing specifically on any instances where CISA's conduct appears to have been contrary to the purposes and policies identified in my executive order, which came later. Can you find, hey, look, investigate them. That's what Donald Trump is saying. Investigate the past 6 years and see if it has anything over the past 6 years disagrees with the thing I said yesterday. What? Passed the rule you passed today. Go back 6 years and enforce the law I passed today. The rules I put in place today. Go back 6 years. And if anybody broke that rule, even though it wasn't a rule back then, they suffer today. What madness is this? Conservatives eat this shit up, man. They love it. Harm the people that we don't like, and they really don't like truth tellers. Chris Krebs told the truth, and for that, the conservatives want to harm him with the government. Use all the power that the government has to harm the person saying the truth. I don't accidentally call them fascists. They keep doing fascist things. That seems to be the theme of today's stream. They do fascist things, and I call them a fascist. This isn't an edgy thing that I just came up with. I don't do it just because it's fun. So they're going to try and investigate anything this guy did over the past 6 years and say that it's against an executive order that came out later. You know, pre-crimes. We put out an executive order that says the thing you did in the past is a crime, and you need to be, it wasn't against the rules then, but it is now, so you have to be harmed by it. So that was fun. If you're watching, hop in a chat, tell me what you're thinking, tell me what you're feeling. Go on over to the Discord. You can go to the Discord right here. There's the Discord.
Discord.
Lovely. So you can go there and talk to other people. You can debate me. You can debate other people that are in the Discord. You can leave photos of cute doggies. You can do all kinds of fun stuff over there. So go on over there. Tell me what you think and tell me what you're feeling. If you want to watch on YouTube, you can do that right here.
YouTube.
There's the YouTube link. Go on over there. I take all of these streams, I chop them into littler bits and turn them into individual YouTube videos. You can watch those individual YouTube videos if you don't have time to catch a live stream, which is super cool. And then that makes the numbers happy. That makes the YouTube algorithm like me. And then the algorithm will put my stupid face in front of other stupid faces. And then more people will watch, and you'll have more people to debate in the chat and at the Discord. See, this is a whole thing. Then I get to, talk to more people, and it'll be fun, and you'll have more people to talk to. We'll all benefit from you going to that YouTube link. I'm just saying. Your life would be better. My life would be better. All of the people in chat, their lives would be better if you go to the YouTube link and watch the videos. So let's see. This is the last. Okay, so yeah, here's the last bit that I wanted to talk about today, and it might get me banned. It might get me canceled. It might get this stream that you are currently watching removed from the internet. So here we go with the controversy. Here is Donald Trump. This is the official White House fucking website talking about a lab leak, the true origins of COVID-19. YouTube, listen. I am not suggesting this. The government is suggesting it. I am disagreeing with the government. Okay? Don't fucking ban me. Ban the government, please. For the love of God, somebody ban Donald Trump from everything. Don't ban me for telling everybody what he's said and calling it horse shit. They are telling you that it's COVID-19. It was a lab leak and isn't actually dangerous. It's very fucked up. The proximal origins of SARS-CoV-19 publication, which was used repeatedly by public health officials and the media to discredit the lab leak theory, was prompted by Dr. Fauci, to push the preferred narrative that COVID-19 originated naturally. Oh my God. Look, you can't possibly, how does a virus walk this far? Viruses can't walk this far. Viruses are very tiny. And then this is propaganda, y'all. This is 100% propaganda. The HHS obstruction, the Biden administration, HHS, engaged in a multi-year campaign to delay, confuse, and non-responsiveness in an attempt to obstruct the selective subcommittee's investigation to hide the evidence that could incriminate or embarrass senior public health officials. It appeared that HHS even intentionally undersourced its component that responds to legislative oversight requests. This is about feelings. Man, COVID's over. If this is true, the lab leak, then you still needed to get the injection. You still needed to wear the mask. You still lost all that time. Your kids still lost all that time in school. You still had to quarantine to prevent the spread. But conservatives, if it was a lab leak, think that none of that happened. I don't get it. I really don't. I need a conservative fucking explain this to me. What fucking difference does it make where it came from? How does that change anything? Great. If it came from a fucking lab, you still need to wear a mask. You still had to get the injections. You still should have been fired for denying those injections. You should. We still should have booted the people from the military for denying those injections. That's all still true, even if it came from a lab. And if it didn't, it's all still true. Changing the past doesn't change the fucking past, man. Denying the past doesn't change it. Denying the past doesn't change it. But conservatives are a backward-facing ideology. And if they can change what happened in the past, then they can decide how the future is going to go. I don't fucking know, man. I really don't get why the White House is pumping out all of this fucking propaganda. Is it to make them? It's to make them feel better, I suppose. Mask mandates. There was no conclusive evidence that masks effectively protected Americans from COVID-19. Public health officials flip-flopped on the efficacy of masks without providing American scientific data, causing a massive uptick in public distrust. They feel bad about having to wear a mask because they didn't like it. They didn't like it. They didn't like it. They don't want to wear a mask. Conservatives don't want to wear a mask because it makes them feel silly. They look silly. They don't like it. They had feelings. They felt a certain way about it. And that feeling was anti-reality, anti-truth, and not correct. Their feelings were wrong. And if you tell a conservative their feelings are wrong, then you're attacking them. You're harming them. You are attacking their very identity. And they can't have that. So when they're in power, they rewrite the history to make it seem like their feelings were correct. That's a decent Elmer Fudd. Can I do an Elmer Fudd voice? Let me see. Be very, very quiet. I'm hunting wabbits. That wascally wabbit. That wascally wabbit. He went away from me again. I think I can pull it off. They have feelings. And those feelings were anti-mask, anti-Fauci, anti-shot. Those feelings they had. The science doesn't support any of their feelings. Their feelings don't agree or align with the science. So now they have to retcon what happened, why it happened, to make their feelings more legitimate. If in their brains, in the broken, disgusting, belief-filled brain the conservatives have, they need their past feelings to be validated. And that is what Donald Trump is doing here. Everything political comes down to feelings. Everything, all politics are based on feelings, and they felt like they didn't like the masks, and they felt like they didn't like Fauci, and they felt like they couldn't trust him. And so they invented bullshit, horseshit, nonsense. They invented COVID denialism to make their feelings more valid. Science proved COVID denialism to be wrong. And now that Donald Trump is in charge, he gets to print and create mountains of propaganda proving in quotation marks that their feelings were just and justified. This is past propaganda. This website is some sort of feelings propaganda. I don't know what else. I don't know what this is, man. This is anti-reality, and it is coming from the White House to make people feel better about the feelings they had in the past that were proven by science to be wrong. Retcon to save conservative fifis. We cannot survive too much of this. Y'all, we might survive this, but we can't survive too much of it. If reality is abandoned for conservative feelings, we will all die. And the conservatives will feel okay about it until it's too late. And then they'll blame me. They'll blame you. They'll blame anybody to the left of them for the actions that they took that got us all killed. And I don't know how we survive it. I really don't. How do we survive? How does our country, our society work if a large portion of us are based entirely on feelings and not facts? I don't know what to do about it. But that made me think. And what am I thinking about right now? I'm going to rant about the types of conservatives that exist And I'm going to do a numbered list. YouTube loves numbered lists. So go on over to the YouTube page. I'm going to turn this next bit into a YouTube video. I get to do a numbered list. YouTube loves numbered lists. This is going to do really well with the algo. And I'm still streaming, so I didn't get kicked off of Twitch or Kick. Kick doesn't kick anybody off, do they? Or YouTube for talking about these things. The streams are still up and still working. I'm glad I'm still here. I'm glad you're still here with me. I really was worried about talking about this one because this is the kind of thing that will get us booted off of the internet. Hi, White Tony. Thanks for coming in. I'm about to rant about the 4 different types of conservatives because I think there are 4 different types. I was thinking about who supports Donald Trump and all of the nonsense that he spews all the time. I came to the conclusion that there are 4 kinds of Trump supporters. And if I talk about them, I get to do a numbered list for YouTube, and YouTube loves numbered lists. This is going to be so good for my algo, you guys. Number 1, the intellectuals, online neo-Nazis that are just asking questions. These are the conspiracy theorists on Reddit. They like to argue edgy topics like online race science or underpopulation or trans issues. They practice their debate tactics on anonymous boards like 4chan, often describing themselves as classic libertarians. They make bad faith arguments constantly. They question even the most banal statements from the Dems, but ignore raging lies from Donald Trump. Biden says the sky is blue. They will launch into a 10-hour online debate to determine if that is true. And if it turns out to be true, it's some kind of evidence to prove that Biden actually controls all of the media and the weather and suppressed Hunter Biden's laptop somehow. Donald Trump, on the other hand, says China pays tariffs. They all smile and nod. That is how that works. No, man, that's not true. That is not a correct factual statement. When Biden tried to forgive student loans, it was according, that's how Hammer 40K works. Faith in the emperor makes the society run through belief in magic. Yeah, exactly. They say Jews control everything. Yeah, I know, White Tony. That is what they say. And they will find any sort of reason to make that true. They will bend over backwards. These intellectuals. I think it's a good word, intellectuals. They will find any reason to suggest that it is true. When Biden wanted to forgive student loans, it was, according to the intellectuals, a wild overreach of his authority. He can't tell people they don't have to pay the government back. He doesn't have that kind of authority as a president. He's breaking all the rules. He's ignoring all the laws, and they were disgusted with his authoritarian tendencies. But those same people allow Trump to black bag innocent people and send them to a gulag. No trials, no evidence, no court. Conservatives have no ethics. They don't even know what morals are. And they certainly have no respect for the Constitution. They are guided by their feelings of fear. And their media has convinced them that this is common sense. Common sense is a feeling. I would love somebody to debate me on that. Common sense is a feeling. You feel like something is right and correct, and it's common sense. It's very hard to explain, but common sense is a feeling. And yes, anyone who unironically uses the words common sense probably fits into this first category. They do often overlap with the other categories as well. Category number 2, the religious, the true believers, mostly white evangelicals, but a lot of the dudes from the group 1 have adopted a fake faith so that they can use it as a cudgel in arguments to get a bigger audience from this category 2. It is the belief that Trump and his fans are exploiting here. By pretending to venerate the same deity that the religious people pretend to venerate, they become allies. Belief is a problem. Belief is the foot in the door that Trump uses to further his brand of fascism. American religion has slowly flipped on its head over the past 40 years or so. They used to try to convince people to be more Christ-like. They don't do that anymore. No. Today, they try and convince people that their opinions are the same opinions that Christ had. It's quite convenient that Jesus agrees with you and all your political opinions. Jesus votes the same way you did, and Jesus supports the same tax plan that you support, and Jesus hates all the same people that you hate. And that makes them feel good. It makes them feel right and righteous. All politics are based on feelings. I say it every day. That famous Descartes saying that you've heard 1,000 times, I think, therefore I am. Well, there's a famous Waldo saying, I believe, therefore I am gullible. And I think that is exactly the problem. The people in this category too, have abandoned reality, and I've been pointing at it all day. Abandon what's true for what feels good. Category 3, grifters. These are the famous people who have adopted categories 1 and 2 to make themselves famous and rich. J.D. Vance, Elon, Vivek the Fake, Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro. They proclaim the lies loudly and often because that gets them paid. There is no money in telling the truth. There's not. There is no money in truth telling. There is some money in being a newspaper and putting out facts and press and stuff like that, but they're all going out of business, aren't they? The media is going out of business, especially if they tell the truth. There's no money in telling the truth. Reality tastes like shit. It's harsh and boring and usually makes people feel really bad. You and I have been looking at some reality today and it tastes like shit. Bullshit, however, is delicious. Lies make people feel good and powerful. The grifters will tell lies to let you stop being who you are. The grifters tell you pleasant lies so that you can feel better about yourself and your identity. No, you're not a filthy primate with a rapidly deteriorating body. No. You're an immortal soul that will fly among the clouds someday. You don't hate people because they're different. No. You just recognize that they have a different culture and that cannot coincide with your values. So we have to deport them all. Obviously. It's not your fault. You're not racist because of that. Trump isn't lying. No. He's telling the truth. Here's the evidence that we created after he made a claim. It all makes sense if you don't think about it. Let the grifters do the thinking for you. You're busy. You have shit to do. Okay? That leads us into category number 4. The ignorant, the not paying attention, the non-political. Don't let them fool you. Everything is political. When someone from the middle states tells you that they're non-political, they're using the word incorrectly because they still have opinions about schools and taxes and marriage equality and gay rights and trans people and abortion and government spending and wars. They have opinions, very pointed, partisan opinions about all of those subjects. But they will tell you that they're not political. It's because they're using the word incorrectly. If you disagree with them on any of those subjects, they will often get very mad at you, often calling you the political one. To these people, there are 2 genders, male and political. There are 2 kinds of marriage, straight and political. There are 2 races, white and political. There are 2 religions, theirs and political. Because they live in a homogeneous place where everyone agrees with them, they are never challenged. And since they're never challenged, and they'll never leave their small, comfy town little bubble that they live in, they project everything bad on other people. And those are the political ones. Those are the people who have the issues. Those are the political people. Those Californians, you know, they badmouth California, even though they've never been. Have you ever met anybody like that who just shit talks California and San Francisco, even though they've never been and never will? They complain about New York being a wretched hive of scum and villainy, but they'll never go, and they've never been, and they don't want to go. this is just an anecdote, and I may have told this story before, but when I was a kid, like the summer after ninth grade, I think, I was working a summer job and I heard a cool song come on the radio. It was a Marilyn Manson song. And I thought it was catchy and had a good beat. I was like, hey, that's a pretty good song. But the adult next to me was red-faced and angry when he heard that song, because they shouldn't have played that filth on the radio where kids can hear it. I was confused. I told him I didn't hear any egregious sex or violence in that song. What are you talking about? No, it's the singer that he had a problem with. Marilyn Manson had his vertebrae and ribs surgically removed so that he could suck his own dick on stage. The adult told me. And then after that, he brings his 13-year-old cousin, just a boy, up on stage and then has gay sex with him right there on stage as the crowd cheers. This was a grown man telling me this. He had a job. He paid rent. He had a car. He paid taxes. He could vote, but he probably didn't because he's not political. He believed the story he was telling me. He had opinions about Bill Clinton. He would look me in the eye and tell me he's not a political guy. This is the fourth category, the ignorant. So these are, the imagination. I know, that's what I'm saying. That's the problem with Trump fans. They belong to one of these four categories, depending on whether they're intellectual, religious, a grifter, or uninformed. Those are the four types of people who follow and appreciate Donald Trump. They can overlap. They could have like a little bit of a little bit of religion and a little bit of the uninformed. It can go hand in hand. But those are the people who are following him. I don't know how we survive if those are the people running the show. Donald Trump is running the show. He is the emperor now. Not happy about that, but he is the emperor. He says things and they go. The Supreme Court might be entirely powerless to stop him. And we might get martial law tomorrow. I don't know how our society survives if these are the people in charge. And I know why they're in charge, because they manipulate those four groups. They manipulate the incels. They manipulate the religious. They manipulate the grifters. The grifters do it for money. And then they manipulate the people who aren't paying attention, the uninformed. Maybe if we got the uninformed on board, if we informed them with things like government schools and proper education, they wouldn't be so many of them and they would lose one of their legs. The grifters aren't going to go away. They're making their money. They're not going anywhere. The religious aren't going away. There are sometimes fewer of them. Education could lead, I think it does, to fewer people being religious, and I would love that. But the first group, the intellectuals, they're not going anywhere. They are harmed by forward progress, so they're fighting against it. So, like maybe two of the groups, one of could be brought down in numbers just by education. I don't know how we get education when Donald Trump is killing the education. He's putting idiots in charge of education, lying about what education is and how to do it, and spreading false information in schools. He wants schools to prepare people to serve the state. That is all he wants. That is the Republican plan for education. Not to make people intelligent or understand or think, but to serve the state. Here's what you need to do to serve the state. So it's a mess, and I don't know what to do about it. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're feeling. Hop into chat and tell me how we solve this. I think education is the key, which is kind of why I talk and try to educate you and talk about what I think is happening and point at my ideas. Free speech is nice and good and important. I don't want the fascists to take it away from me, and it would be nice. And I think that is it for me today. I appreciate everybody who's here. What you see is thanks for coming in. Thanks for coming by. If you're paying attention, if you're watching, hop into the YouTube. There's the YouTube link. Go on over there and get some videos. Go over there. And the YouTube education does help. And I think it is a good idea, Trader Todd. Yes. But I think the conservatives know that. I think they know that education could undo them. That's why they hate the universities the way they do. That is why they're so angry at the universities. I've met many conservative men who complained that my kid went off to that college and came back a raging liberal. That damn academy must be turning people gay and trans and liberal. Listen, conservative guy, freedom turns people gay and trans and liberal. Freedom. Being out from under your thumb has allowed them to become who they want to be and choose who they want to be. Conservatism is not about freedom. It's about control. Conservatism is about controlling what the people say, how they say it, what is true, what is not true, what the government can do and what the government can't do. And they will look you in the face and say they're protecting freedom. If you are not a straight, white, cis, hetero person with 2.5 kids in the suburbs, you're doing freedom wrong. You're misusing the freedom that the Constitution gave you to live in a city with your gay partner and have no kids. You're doing it wrong. You're being anti-American, is what they would say. But they're very dumb. They don't know what the word freedom means. But I was about to sign off. Thank you for being here. I appreciate everybody who's here. I will be back on Wednesday. Wednesday to watch the news. But if we get martial law tomorrow, I didn't see anything in the news about it today because I checked this morning. I didn't see anything about the Armed Forces Act or some shit that's going to happen tomorrow on 420. Tomorrow's 420, Hitler's birthday. Elon has kind of fallen out of favor. He's not running the entire government anymore. He kind of is. He's still there. He's still at the meetings, but he's not like running the entire thing, which means we might not get martial law on 420, lay epic meme, and he is a big fan of Hitler. So, and it is Hitler's birthday. So he wants all these things to happen because it would be lay epic and hilarious if we stopped being a democracy on 420. He would love that. And he's pushing for it. So I will watch the news tomorrow and Monday. And if anything really big happens, I'll come stream. Come watch it with me. If you are just going about your day and you suddenly hear a tweet or you see a news story about all the horrible things that are happening all of a sudden, I'll hop online and we can chat about it. So that is it for me today. I appreciate everybody's here. Thank you very much. And I will be back on Wednesday unless martial law pops up on the next couple of days.